Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. We are at Carrington as open training is about to commence, so we'll be taking you through the whole of the open training before Erikson Haag's first Europa League game of the season against FC Twente at Old Trafford. And also after that, make sure you stay tuned from some really interesting quotes from Mazraoui and Erik ten Hag. Okay everybody, we are now in the open training where Manchester United are about to begin their training session. As you can see there, Ruud van Nistelrooy in on the action. Him and the rest of the coaches have just spent quite a little bit of time setting up for this session. There seems to be a lot of togetherness between the team. Rashford, Antony, Casemiro and Ugarte were the first ones out into training. Nice to see that Rasmus Højlund is back in training. Hopefully he'll be looking fresh heading into the game against FC Twente. It is great to have him back, and having both him and Xerxes an option will be really good for Erik ten Hag, considering the lack of goals that Manchester United are producing, considering the amount of big chances we are creating so far this season. So that will be the main aim of this FC Twente game, I think. Put the chances that you create away. Same sort of football we saw in the first 60 minutes against Crystal Palace, but let's put the chances away, and that is a complete performance. Clean sheet would be very nice for Erik ten Hag as well. Rasmus Højlund not very happy with Manuel Ugarte there, obviously just a little bit of banter. Ugarte is another player that is definitely one to watch going into this game. He started against Barnsley but hasn't started a Premier League game yet. Europa League, Ten Hag is taking it seriously. Will he trust Ugarte enough to start the game? I think he should do. He looks sharp. Obviously, you've only seen a little bit so far and you can't really tell much just from a few little touches with the players, but he does look sharp. Marcus Rashford as well, training. He's going to be looking for a start. Sandro Martinez joining in now as well, the butcher. Him and Antony having a little bit of banter there. Antony with the fresh bleached hair. Marcus Rashford got a new haircut and he started scoring. Will Antony's new haircut make a positive impact for him against FC Twente? Obviously knows quite a lot about FC Twente, Antony, after playing for Ajax in the Eredivisie. Antony earned his reputation through playing for Ajax under Erik ten Hag. That is how he got the transfer to Manchester United for, obviously, it was around £86 million, if I'm not mistaken. So Antony, I think he'll be eyeing up this game as a really good opportunity to put himself in Erik ten Hag's viewpoint for the rest of the season. Seems to be quite pushed out so far regarding the wingers. Erik ten Hag just saying that the other wingers have simply just performed better. But an opportunity against FC Twente, if Antony has a positive performance, that could help him in his pledge to regain a first-team spot, or not even just a first-team spot, to be honest, at this point. A spot off the bench. He seems to be an unused sub a lot for Manchester United now, and he'll definitely want to start making an impact. Players are just getting a little bit closer to us here as they're about to start their training. Wow, very, 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 very close. So you get to see all the up-close action of the Manchester United players training. The groups seem to be split up into two groups now for the training. Obviously, the group that you are seeing here, Diogo Dalot just kind of coming past, Matthias Delet, Lisandro Martinez, Mazraoui as well, who was just spoke in the press conference with Erik ten Hag, Kobbie Mainoo, Ugarte. Will Kobbie Mainoo and Ugarte feature together in the game against FC Twente? Could you see the starting midfield of Manuel Ugarte, Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes? That could be the midfield that a lot of fans have been crying out for, and Erik ten Hag could use it from the start against FC Twente. As you can see, Antony in the middle now with Victor Lindelof trying to win the ball back. I think Bruno Fernandes was going to sub him, but it's staying as Lindelof and Antony. Antony's obviously very tenacious, and a lot of people were saying, could he be the solution to the left-back problem because of how good he is at working backwards for Manchester United? Good to see Victor Lindelof back in training as well. Obviously, there was a lot of rumours that Victor Lindelof was going to leave Manchester United in the summer, and a lot of fans saying, maybe it was time for him to move on, but realistically, we still got two centre-backs in Matthias Delet, who is obviously in the middle now and has looked super since coming into this Manchester United team and really has took it by storm and looks like a really good signing along with Mazraoui, who is obviously playing alongside him on that right-hand side of defence. But our centre-back depth now, if Lindelof would have got sold, we wouldn't have replaced him. We still bought Yoro, we still bought Delet. So our centre-back depth, you've got Martinez and Delet, you've then got Yoro, you've got Maguire, you've got Evans, and you've got Lindelof. The centre-back depth, considering that was such a problem area for Manchester United last season, is really good for Manchester United, and hopefully that's going to create a stronger defence. Already got 3 clean sheets on the bounce. Could we make another one against FC Twente? Need to start putting our chances away. But 100%, in terms of the injuries that we had last season and the centre-back issues we had, we have got a strong centre-back depth. And will they be rotated against FC Twente? And who will get the nod? Will it be Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans, who stepped in for the Barnsley game? Just coming over now to the other players that are in the second group of training. Really good, and I can't stress it enough. Amazingly good to see Tyrell Malacia back on the grass and training with the first team, especially after being out on the sideline so long for Manchester United, and with Manchester United having an issue at left back. I won't really say an issue because Delet has been superb. Obviously, he didn't have his best game against Southampton, but apart from that, he's been absolutely excellent. Dibbling caused him quite a few issues against Southampton, but in terms of what he brings of coming into the midfield as well, and some of the oppositions he's faced some fierce opposition so far in the opening games of the Premier League, and he's done really well. And in terms of inverting into the midfield and basically becoming another 6 in there, and I think that really helps with the lack of Erikson's physicality, but in terms of what Erikson's bringing to the team, in terms of his intelligence and his creativity and his technical ability, Delet coming into that midfield as another 6 just packs out that midfield a little bit more and allows Erikson more time and space on the ball, which has been really crucial to Manchester United's improved performances, in my opinion. As you can see, Erikson there in the second group, smile on his face. Will he feature against FC Twente? Will he start against FC Twente? He is a player that has played the last 3 games for Manchester United from the start, become crucial to Erik ten Hag, you would say. And a lot of people saying, okay, the results aren't quite there yet, but the progression, you can definitely see the progression. Barnsley and Southampton, the results were there, the goals were there. Against Crystal Palace, we didn't get the result that the performance warranted, but Christian Eriksen has been a key factor in Manchester United having more possession and creating more chances and keeping the ball ticking over in the midfield. So Christian Eriksen, you will see how important he actually is to Erik ten Hag when he names his starting 11 against FC Twente tomorrow, and you could interpret it a couple of different ways. If Eriksen starts, does Erik ten Hag just rely on him a lot now in terms of the way his midfield works and the way it ticks? And if he's rested, is it because he's got Spurs, Porto away, and Aston Villa away coming up, and Eriksen's going to be crucial to them games, and he needs to give him some sort of rest and some sort of rotation? Really interesting to see how Erik ten Hag handles Christian Eriksen, who was rumoured to leave Manchester United in the summer and has now become a really important player for Erik ten Hag, and the fan base as well have kind of realised how important Christian Eriksen has been for us. And is he going to do what Scott McTominay did last year? And people sort of wrote off Scott McTominay at the start of last season, and he became a really important player for Erik ten Hag. Not necessarily as a starter, but definitely an impact player, whereas Christian Eriksen, you're never going to lose his intelligence. It's just, can he keep up physically? But so far this season, with 3 starts in a row, he definitely has. Back round now to the first lot of players there. Do you reckon these groups are any indication of who's going to start for Manchester United tomorrow? I don't think so. I was going to say the left-hand group, which is what we're looking at now, is that going to be, the starting group? But I doubt Victor Lindelof would come straight back into starting, and I doubt you'd start without a striker, so I don't think you can read too much into that. Alejandro Garnacho also with the bleached hair. Is that going to help with the goal scoring? Well, it definitely helps him against Barnsley. And to be honest with you, he should have had at least one goal against Crystal Palace. Really unlucky there with the saves that Dean Henderson pulled off. But players are looking sharp in training. We've seen that Erik ten Hag demands sharpness from his players, demands 100% in all the training sessions. Mood seems very lively. Mood seems positive going into the game against FC Twente. Casemiro there just kind of stood on the outside of the circle. We know how much of a leader he is at Manchester United and within the dressing room. He is a senior player, but has kind of come out, well, not kind of, has come out of the starting 11 for Erik ten Hag after the Liverpool game, which obviously was a really poor performance from Casemiro. But I wonder if he'll be looking for a start against FC Twente, and how would that affect his standings in the Manchester United squad if he's not selected to start. Played against Barnsley, played well alongside Ugarte. Is that a midfield pivot that you would like to see against FC Twente with some rotation? Is that something that we expect to see against FC Twente? Will Erik ten Hag utilise both Casemiro and Ugarte? And I think that's a really interesting dilemma for Ten Hag. Will you play them both, or will you only start one of them? Because whoever you don't start, if you do only choose to play one, and you do play Mainoo and a Bruno or Mainoo and an Erikson, and you only choose to start one of Ugarte or Casemiro, both of them I think would be really disappointed not to start this game. Casemiro obviously didn't start against Crystal Palace and didn't get any time off the bench in that game. He'd be thinking, Casemiro, it's time for me to start now. I know he's had some poor performances, but he would be wanting to start in a game like this with a lot of experience in European competitions. But also Manuel Ugarte, who's just come in as the new signing. Erik ten Hag spoke about him needing to adapt and him getting used to the way that they play, but he played against Barnsley. Obviously got took off with about half an hour to go in that game, building his fitness up. Came off the bench in both the games against Southampton and Crystal Palace. Surely he'll be looking for a start in the opening game of the Europa League and thinking this is his time now to embed himself into the team. So that'll be really fascinating to see who Erik ten Hag goes with, or if he goes with them both, because that is a real possibility as well. And if he does go with them both, does he choose Erikson? Does he choose Mainoo? Does he choose Bruno Fernandes? Does he leave his captain out after Bruno Fernandes was getting quite a lot of criticism in the Crystal Palace game? A lot of fans saying he should have been subbed. Does he leave his captain out? And it is super important to have that captain on the pitch in all the games, but we know Casemiro is the vice captain who will step into that role. It'll be interesting to see. I think the midfield is massive of who Erik ten Hag is going to pick in this game, and it'll show how seriously he's taking this game and who he trusts to play this game for him. And I expect Erik ten Hag to take it seriously. You want to get through in that top 8. You have to get through in that top 8. You don't want to play any extra games, especially with how busy the schedule is already. And to do that, you've got to win all your home games. Fenerbahce away, Porto away. They are tough games for Manchester United, and you've got to win your home games in that. You can hear the nicknames come in. Hoyland's speaking to Rashford. Will Toby Collier get to feature? Obviously had a stint at left back in the game against Barnsley, but wasn't on the bench in the Crystal Palace game. I think he was playing for the under-21s. Mason Mount, great to see him back in training. Going to be, I think, a really important squad player throughout the season. And the mission for him is to stay fit now. We all know what Mason Mount can do, and we know he's a good player. And I think he was actually really important at the start of the season with the press and the intelligence he brought into the midfield. He needs to stay fit, and I don't expect him to start. It'd be a great game for Mason Mount to start, but I think you expect Erik ten Hag to ease him back in and make sure he stays fit. So you could see a cameo from him off the bench at Old Trafford. You see the competitive nature in the training there. You see the competitive nature, and that's exactly what you want to see. Taking training seriously and bring it into the games as well. A lot of people have spoken about how much of a leader Delet is in the training sessions. You can kind of sense that already. You can sense the aura around him and what he brings and his experience as well. Really exciting, Delet. Had such a good start to the season. Still only 24, or might have just turned 20. I think he's just turned 25 years old. Huge player for Manchester United to bring in. I think he's going to be such a successful signing. Already looks top quality, looks really dangerous off set pieces for Manchester United, which is what we've been missing from our defenders. Gabriel has been so crucial at it for Arsenal. If Delet could get anywhere near that level, that would be amazing for Manchester United and give us a different dynamic after not really being able to produce off set pieces for so long. Could be absolutely huge for us. So Delet, his leadership, what he brings to Manchester United in experience, and he's still his young age, and the partnership he's growing with Martinez, but also the partnership he already has with Mazraoui. I think that's really, 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 really exciting for Manchester United. I think the record at the moment is 20 from this training drill. I think it is 20, and that's actually
FC.
Yeah, exactly. Pardon the pun. Didn't actually mean to do that, but I think the record is 20 touches, and it's quite ironic that we're actually playing FC Twente. Okay, everybody, so that was open training at Carrington, and now it is time to hear what Erikson and Mazraoui had to say.
Hey guys, welcome to the press conference with Mazraoui. Again, we'll start with the Dutch media. So, gentlemen.
Ja, is het possible in Dutch?
Yeah, Dutch is fine.
Oké, hey.
Hi.
Hi. Zo, weer bij een popcup.
Ja.
Speel je ook bij een topteam?
Zeker weten. Ik denk als je kijkt naar de individuele kwaliteiten van iedereen, is dat zeker een topteam.
Je bent goed begonnen en toch zeg je het kan nog veel beter.
Ja, natuurlijk. Je kan niet verwachten als je nieuw bij een club bent. Dat zei ik na mijn eerste wedstrijd natuurlijk. Ik had 2 trainingen met het team gehad. Ik kende 80% van de spelers, heb ik nog nooit meer gespeeld. Dus natuurlijk verwacht ik dan van mezelf dat als de connecties wat beter worden, de automatismes wat beter worden, dat er een stijgende lijn in zal komen.
Eén ding even, de discussie in de wereld van het voetbal. We spelen te veel wedstrijden. Daar gaat het over.
Mm-hmm.
Zeker hier in Engeland. Hoe denk jij daarover?
Nou ja, ik denk als je alles bij optelt, dus competitiewedstrijden, bekerwedstrijden, interlands, ook nog eens EK's, WK's, WK-clubs, dat je uitkomt als je denk ik goed voorbereid bent om alles te spelen, speel je 70 wedstrijden in het seizoen. Ik denk dat is niet voor iedereen weggelegd. Ik denk per club dat er misschien 1, misschien 2 spelers dat redden zonder geblesseerd te raken. Dus ja, dan moet je wel even gaan nadenken van, is dit wel gezond, zeg maar.
Dankjewel.
Just translate now.
Huh?
Just going to translate.
Oh, right.
So then you're here playing for a top club. Are you playing in a top team? The answer, yeah, for sure. If you look at the individual qualities of each player, then I think we can say for certain that this is a top team. The next question, you've started very well. Do you think you're going to go on improving? The answer, well, you have to understand when you come here as a new player, your expectations are that things will only get better. I've attended 2 trainings. There are 80% of the players in the squad who I've never played with yet. So my expectation is that once the corrections and the sort of automatic responses become a bit more bedded in and natural, that things can only go up and up. Next question, regarding the discussion about people playing too many games. What's your view on that? The answer, well, there are competition games, there are cup games, there are internationals, there's the European Championships, the World Championships. So if you're properly poised, prepared, you may be playing up to 70 games in a season, which of course isn't for everyone. It's likely in most clubs that there will be just 1 or 2 players who make it through that season without any injuries at all.
Okay, move on to the English section. Start with Simon.
What was the attraction about joining Manchester United? Bayern Munich are obviously a great club, and many people might think they're more likely to win big trophies than Manchester United at the moment. What is the attraction of coming here?
I think if you compare both of them, you cannot say that one is bigger than the other. Maybe even internationally speaking, Manchester United is probably even bigger than Bayern Munich. So that's for sure one of the reasons. The other reason is I felt at that time, so last summer after 2 seasons playing at Bayern, that for me I needed and I wanted another step based on a lot of reasons. I felt okay there, but I had the feeling like I can feel better and more comfortable somewhere else, and that's why I eventually chose to change clubs, and that's when Manchester United came. And I don't really think I have to explain why you go to such a club.
Anton?
Hi. You were just talking about preparing for up to 70 games a season. How can you do that physically? How can you do that mentally? And is that something that's sort of frustrating for the players in the changing room?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think if we really had the answer that on this question, I think for sure a lot of players would be able to play up to 70 games. But yeah, realistically, what you see is that's what I said, that like a big team who plays a lot of matches, they're not able to play this much of the games. You see 1 or 2 players who played up to 70 and being fit the whole season. So I don't really think there's yet, or there will be eventually something which you can prepare for this, because it's like it's getting more every season, and yeah, every season you see more and more injuries. So I think eventually that if you see this all together, that it's too much.
All right.
Okay.
A lot of fans are commenting on your transfer fee and how modest it seems to be given the start you've made at Manchester United. Were you surprised at Bayern allowing you to leave for that kind of fee, and what have you made of your start at United so far?
Eventually it's not me who decides the fee, so yeah, I cannot really say something about that, because that's the negotiation between Manchester and Manchester United and Bayern Munich. So I can't really say something about that. Yeah, eventually it works good on me, because I was not that expensive, I think, and yeah, I made a good start. So then what you say, like it's easy for the fans then to say like that I'm a good buy this summer.
Beth?
Hi, obviously you already know the manager, Erikson. How big of a factor was he for you joining Manchester United?
Of course, it's a big factor. I think always if you decide to go to another club, because you have to decide if the manager and his way of seeing football fits into your way how you play your football. And yeah, that was for me like with him, and I knew him already. I knew his way of seeing the game, and that and his style really fits into how I play, and that's really a big factor. That you work beforehand with him, it's also yeah, making it easier, because I knew always what he expected from me, and he knew it. He knows it from my side as well. So I think seeing those things, it makes it easier. But eventually, what I already said, like it was not the only factor to come to this big of a club.
Does also playing with Delet, who you've played with before as well, has that helped you settle in, knowing the right-sided centre-back who you played on that side of the defence with?
Yeah, of course. I think that's also one of the big reasons, not just the Ligt that I played with, that I knew already some players here to settle in better and easier. It's tough to come to a new club, new environment, new players, new people. But the moment you feel comfortable is the moment you play better. And because I knew some players, quite some players here, and I came together with Matthijs, it makes life easier.
Morning everyone, welcome to our press conference for our Europa League game against FC Twente tomorrow at Old Trafford.
Denk je dat iets is wat, zijn we in die zin misschien een beetje verwend geweest, of denk je dat dat nog wel haalbaar is?
Nou, ik heb altijd gezegd dat voor een Nederlandse club is niet zo makkelijk om ver in Europa te geraken. En er waren een aantal teams, ik denk vooral Ajax. Ik zeg Feyenoord ook de laatste jaren heel veel punten hebben vergaat en heel ver zijn gekomen in Europa.
The question, Manchester United being picked to play against FC Twente must have been quite a surprise. What did you say to one another about those names being drawn? The answer, well, there's a great deal of connections to and fro between MUFC and Twente, FC Twente, between me and René Haken, me and Ruud. Also connections forged through the various Ajax players that we've all been involved with. Question, are you pleased to be playing against Twente? The answer, I would have preferred to have played against somebody else. It's not nice to have to hurt something you love.
Okay, we'll now move on to English questions. Simon?
Hi Eric, we're obviously going to see training a little later, but is there anyone going to be back available for this match?
No, no difference to the squad from last Saturday against Palace.
With Luke Shaw, when are you expecting him to be back available? Are you expecting him back before the international break?
I think it's probably, but I can't say this for 100% sure.
Is that back in training or back available for matches?
The plan is just be back before, but as I say, I can't say this for 100% for sure. It can be also short after the break.
And all cup competitions are important, but given the increased competition for a top 4 place in the Premier League and the fact there's a Champions League place for the winners of this competition, does that place extra significance on this tournament for you and for the club as a whole in terms of trying your best to win it?
Yes, I think so. And it's an opportunity, and there are more roads to achieve the targets you want, and this is definitely also a road. Yes, of course, it's the most difficult probably, because in a tournament of 32, you have to be the best. But it's a target, and it's a road we want to go.
So would you say winning this tournament is harder than getting a top 4 place in the Premier League?
That's because in the end you get knockout stage. But I think it's don't look too far ahead from game to game. Let's first do Twente. But as you know, we want to win all the competitions we are taking part in, and this is one of them. But you have to go game by game, and let's first focus on the first game.
Hi Eric, I know the format's in its infancy, but you could finish 24th in this league format and still be in the competition. There are more games. Rodri complained about it last week. Are you a fan of the new format, or do you think it's becoming too much for the players?
I think there are two things you address here. First of all, the format, and the format. I think we have to take this experience and then judge. But one thing is for sure. I think every match is significant, and probably every goal is significant. And at first you get also a split after January where the first 8 teams they qualify, and that can help you in February to continue. But when you're on the first 24, you can win this competition. And so there's always an option to win it. And then the other question, the second part of it, but we discussed it so many times. There are too many games. It's clear. Too many competitions for the top players. They are overloaded, and this is not good for football. In the end of the day, it's maybe good for commercial, but there is a limit. And players getting injured. It's almost unaffordable. The players getting injured because of the overload from so many games.
Just on that, does that overload of games and the amount of games that you're going to have to play affect the way that you pick teams, particularly for a game in the Europa League tomorrow, and particularly because of what happened with the injuries last year? Because obviously the injuries just decimated your squad last year and it affected your form. Are you going to be more cautious in the way that you pick teams for these games in all these competitions?
But in all the games, I did this on Saturday.
But is that going to have to be the case going forward though as well?
We need a squad with more than 11 to line up. We need more players, and then from game to game we will pick a team. So, but you can't address it. This is the best 11 in this moment. And we will see, and of course form is part of it, tactic of course is also part of it, but definitely the management of the load of the players is definitely part of it.
Hi Eric. So far you've got a goal difference of 0, but you scored 5 goals, so obviously allowed 5 in. I think you had minus goal difference last season. Are you concerned? I know you were without Rasmus Højlund, for example, but he was available last season and you didn't do particularly well. So are you concerned your attacks will be toothless again this season?
Again,
are you concerned your attacks going to fail again this season, not scoring enough goals?
Concern, we create a lot of chances in the first games of the season. Last week we scored 7 against Barnsley, so we are capable of scoring many goals. But it's a part of the game. We have to be better there. We have to improve. We have to kill more in the box.
With your players, your attackers, is it a mental thing then? Because they're obviously talented enough, technically to be here, but is it just a sort of mental focus for them to score more, maybe?
I think there are different aspects on this, and most important is that you create chances, and that is what we're doing in this moment. We create a lot of good moments. We are very creative, and we have many opportunities to score goals, and we have to keep this process going, and then of course the finishing we have to work on.
Eric, just on the games and the loading, how can you as a club change that? Because it seems like this kind of stuff gets made by the authorities and you have to go along with it. Would you have to consider, Rodri spoke about going on strike potentially as players.
I think as a club alone you can't change this. It's more about say the total industry. It's about clubs and players and coaches and so many others who are there in the environment of football who have to work on this to improve the game, but of course to find the right balance, because in the end of the day it's financial, and also we are professional, so revenues has to come, but we have to balance this out.
Last question.
Harry, you were obviously talking about having to rotate. You said you did that on Saturday, and when you did, you left out Marcus Rashford, and there was a lot of attention around that. Do you feel we're sometimes too quick to criticise, considering you're trying to balance so much that we probably don't understand what's going on with the players and what's going on behind the scenes?
I didn't understand the criticism in these, but people, they are entitled if they want to, but what they are not entitled to bring speculation in. If I give an explanation, then they have to trust my words and to trust my explanation, and that's not right.